Well, today on The Garden Life, it's all about updates. In fact, everything lately is about updates because things are progressing so quickly. And I told Stuart I was almost done and he just started laughing. Oh my goodness, Linda, you're never done. But I am making progress. So we're gonna head to the back and see what brilliant craftsmanship has been going on there this week. Indeed, we are truly almost finished in the backyard. I've still got some decisions I need to make, but it has been so gratifying to see it all come together. And then something I've been waiting on for such a long time is my laundry room. Well, for the most part, my laundry room built-in shelving and things are now in place. I'm waiting on a few products to kind of tweak it, but I love it. Today was, let's say today, this entire week has just been so busy, so many people in and out. I'll be ready to kind of get some solitude back, some quiet back. But before I get that kind of serenity, Stuart, let's go to the back and show everybody what's going on. Well, I know I've showed them to you before, but I have to brag on them again. How great, and look at how fresh. Today it's gonna be 103. Look at how fresh these Moondance hydrangeas still look. They're a Southern Living plant. They're still putting out new blooms, new buds. I love that. But pretty soon, before too long, as fall approaches, it is going to be all about the Encore azaleas. And even these, I mean, technically we think about them blooming in spring and reblooming in fall, but this carnation, kind of a hedge that I've got going here, the Encore azalea carnation, it is, I mean, the foliage looks great. It's putting out lots of flowers. Now, do they fry as soon as they come out? Yes, they do, but nevertheless, they're lovely, and I've even been cutting some tiny little bouquets to bring inside. But look at all these buds. They're already filled with buds. So pretty soon I'm gonna be doing something maybe with my friend Jim Putnam at HortTube. Make sure to hop over and subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. And we're gonna be talking a lot about Encore azaleas. But I have taken a little detour, Stuart. Let's go to the back. It's easier to walk and it's not nearly so treacherous as I think people think. It's really easier to walk. Now, as a little refresher, a reminder about what has already been done here, and that is the plant terraces. 2 of them are in place. They've got pavers underneath them, which we have covered up with my custom blend of that Happy Grow mix and some gravel. And by the way, you guys always ask about the ratio of that, and I've answered many times. There's no magic to it. It's just kind of what I feel like when I look at it. Do I feel that it needs a little bit more gravel? I'll add more, or a little bit more mulch, I'll add more. But it's just the combo of it that I like. So I am more than ready for all of the stuff on the plant terraces to really look good and to play with them. Before too long, I'll start feeding them. I'll take lots of cuttings off of the angel wing begonias and I will encourage more flowering, but these will be tidied up and look really good. By the time you see this, I will have already showed you how I am going to pot up this laurel topiary. This was a free gift from my garden at the other house, and I'm going to plant it in a bigger pot. This is just some kind of laurel from when I shopped my garden. Yeah, it is. I think it's very, very pretty, but it's about to outgrow its home, and I'm going to put this in a larger planter. Right now, stuff like the geraniums are just really stressed with the heat. They need lots of deadheading. They need some TLC, and when it cools down a little bit, I'll give them a good feed. So this part is really pretty much done. Now, if we go around, if the oval rug, if we follow the red brick rug on the patio in the back will see that there has been more progress with the raised planters. Now, I talked a little bit about wanting to install a couple of triple trunk Yopon hollies back here, and I've changed my mind on that just because I see the scale of these raised beds and really things not looking too crowded or too cluttered. So I'm going to just plant one, and it will be back here kind of where this topiaried silverata sage would be. If I thought that this would make it through a cold winter, through an Arctic blast, I might plant the silverata sage here, but I'm just not confident it can make it through a really cold winter, and I don't want it to die. So this will have to go back into the greenhouse. And then over here, I will plant a multi-trunk Yopon holly like the ones that I've got in the front that you've seen before. Now, I added 2 more of these raised beds, and what I love about them is they are on casters. And Kayla put these together in her shop. We're going to add some additional support beams to the bottom to make them long lasting. And then you can see on the inside, I've showed you this before, but it bears repeating, that we want to protect the wood. So these have a black liner, which we will punch holes in so there's really good drainage. And you can see that these come up to my hip. So when I am working in them, when I'm harvesting from them, when I am planting seeds, I don't even have to bend over. So I think that's going to be great, and I love the fact that they all look similar and they will all be very much lined up once all of this is done. Now, I will put a link to these. I want to say they were about $159, and I did get them off of Amazon, and with Amazon Prime there was free shipping, so I think that's a pretty good deal. And I can control the quality of the soil and the amendments that go in there based on what I'm going to plant. So I envision all sorts of things like tomatoes cascading over the side, and peppers and basil, greens in the spring, and my beloved French breakfast radishes, all of the things that I really like to have in my own garden. So I'm really itchy to get these planted. But that is, I guess that was another thing that came to fruition this week, were these raised bed planters. These that go along this wall are in the process of being built. Now, something else that I've kind of decided on.
How many will you have total when you're done?
There will be 5. There'll be 5 raised beds that will all be placed around the great big brick rug. And then I'm going to have 2 areas, and this remains to be seen. I'm going to have 2, possibly 3 areas of a little bit of puffery, a little bit of some conifer evergreen villages that will be in specific locations around the rug to look like furniture and kind of soften the edge a little bit, but those won't go in for a little while. They will predominantly all be rounded, mounded plants. And Stuart, right here, we can't forget, right here is where we're going to put an image of my inspiration pick that I've had for years of these little mounded villages of evergreens. So I will talk about that probably next week. Hopefully it will cool off enough so that we can begin some kind of conservative planting. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do, since I temporarily had these placed here, and these are my olives that actually are fruit producing, and somewhere I've got just a few olives here that have started to make an appearance. But I think what I'm probably going to do is plant these and do something similar like I did in the front with the Eugenia topiaries. I'm going to plant these in kind of some more utilitarian, just black nursery pots that will be larger so that they can continue to grow. And then I will just dig big holes right here that I will plop these in during the growing season and then put them back into the greenhouse when it's not. And I think that will give me the kind of Mediterranean vibe that I'm looking for back here, in addition to the other gray plants. I might also do something similar with these sweet olives, which are in desperate need of some pruning. And I will do that for you next week. But these are in desperate need of some pruning, and I am also thinking about putting these in the ground either all the way and just try to mulch them really, really well during the winter, because they too are not always frost hardy and reliable. But I haven't decided on that yet. I might just plant them in pots too, and then just drop and plop them into place in the spring. So that's kind of what I'm deciding on. So right now you may notice that there has been some migration of furniture from one place to another. So Stuart, if you can just very carefully walk backwards, and you can see that the dining table is already in place. I did have an umbrella coming up out of the center of it, but it is being used for shade for Sergio and Javier right now. But I love the visual weight it gives to this space. So here is one of two, maybe three questions of the day I have for you. The one that I have here now is approximately the color of the steps. It's that tawny buff color, and I really like it, but I'm thinking it might need to be gray too. So that's a question of the day. Let's take a break here while you ponder it. Well, for a very long time, so many of you, my followers on Instagram, on YouTube, even on Channel 4, have asked me when I'm going to resurrect my newsletter and my blog. Potager blog, after all, is kind of where I got my start. And I finally feel like now I have the bandwidth to start devoting some time to it and to you by extension. So if you are not already signed up to my newsletter, go to www.lindavater.com, sign up with your email, and we will send you a list of what I think are the most important design questions you should ask yourself before starting on a landscape project. So I'm going to try to do it about once a week. It's going to have all sorts of tips, some of my recommendations, actually some of your recommendations about what you're reading, what you're listening to, and I think it should just be kind of fun and a little bit more of an intimate way for us to communicate with one another, because you can comment there to a greater extent and maybe get a personal answer from me, or it might be more likely if you comment there and send me a message in return to the newsletter. So just go there to the newsletter, and as long as I'm begging, if you would, if you are not already a subscriber, please subscribe, hit the like button, make sure to follow me on Instagram and everywhere and anywhere that you might be able to find me. But more importantly, if you like this kind of content, please share with others who might be a little bit lonely right now, or who just might need some gardening oomph to get through till fall. So there you go. Thank you for indulging me. Well, I don't know if it's possible for garden furnishings to have vertigo or spatial disorientation, but I think all of my garden furniture does, because it has moved back and forth and back and forth, and now it is back again. This is my furniture that I have had forever. I got it probably 25 years ago from Jan's Patio. I don't even know if that's still around. And I love it. I love it because it is heavy weight, it won't blow away. It rocks, it's comfortable, Hubs really likes it, and it can stand up to the wear and tear of all of the big guys, my big men that are in my life. It is probably ready for another repaint. I think I've had this repainted a couple of times since I've had it, and you can see where some of the paint is sloughing off, peeling off, and yes, I will probably have to repaint it. I'll get out some refreshed cushions for it. I'm not sure if this, Stuart said that looked like the dining room and this looks like the living room, and it kind of does. The furnishings may or may not stay here. Definitely a couple of the chairs probably will. Some of them may move to another location, but they all have been moved from the front to the back because I wanted this to be one big happy family of furniture relatives that all were consonant with one another and all speak the common language. So I'm still kind of working on this, but in no way, Stuart, in no way does this area feel too tight, does it? No, it is very, very spacious. And I was a little bit concerned about that because originally the profile that I had for the patio, the dimensions of the patio were a little bit larger, and we had to constrict the measurements just a little bit to accommodate the drip irrigation system that's in the back, the channels for the drip irrigation system. But that in no way, I think it actually looks better this way than it would have if I had taken up more real estate. I continue to love, have absolutely no regrets over the pattern and the artistry of what the guys have done. And you can see that around the perimeter, all we did was just we leveled everything out, we leveled out all of the dirt, and then we just put down my custom blend for things to rest on with pavers underneath the mulch where I wanted to make sure that things were very, very stable and remained even. So that's kind of where we are right now. But this is what I want to show you. Oh, I did go ahead and decide to plant the figs. And so I debated, I kind of went back and forth if it was too hot, but if any plant should be able to take it, it's Little Miss Figgy. So I've gone ahead and planted those in hopes of espaliering them up the wall. Now, some of you expressed concerns that the root system of figs can be very aggressive, and was I concerned about the foundation of the garage? I'm really not. This Little Miss Figgy will get to be about 5 to 6 feet tall, which is exactly the scale that I want them here, but that is a constricted size compared to brown turkey figs or some of the other more aggressively growing large-scale figs. Like a lot of the plants in the SLPC collection, they are smaller, they are more contained, and they're a little bit more compact. So equally as compact will be the root system, so I'm not too concerned about that. Now for the big reveal. So there's one area that they did finish up last week, and that was the throw rug or the patio area for underneath what will be a large wooden groaning board right here. This is where I hope to have a small refrigerator. This is where it will serve as a sideboard when I am serving guests. It will be in very close proximity to the outdoor dining room. Remember, this back area is all about outdoor living, outdoor dining, outdoor entertaining, outdoor conviviality, if you will. And I think it's really going to suit that purpose just beautifully. So some things that are coming up, I know a lot of you will comment on it, so I'll go ahead and beat you to the punch. Yes, this is going to be stained. It just hasn't been done yet, but I do have this in place. And what I really tried to do was use what I had, steal from Peter to pay Paul. So some of these pavers that had been in different areas have now resurfaced here. They speak to the smattering of pavers that are in the big brick rug. And I also reused lots of the original brick. That's the same brick that's on my house that we found in piles behind the garage, and we have laid those on the vertical. So now this area relates to this area, and this area relates to this area. And then we can go full circle, and everything connects to one another, which is very important to me. And then, of course, this relates to the path that goes out that way. So every one thing, my theory of garden relativity, every one thing relates to every other thing, and each new component that goes into place tells me where the next component should go. So that's kind of what this did. Now, let me go back to visiting a little bit about where I see some soft mounds of evergreens. I see some soft mounds of evergreens right in here, and maybe a few right in here, because I kind of like the idea of having a little bit of privacy to this area, a little bit of protection, and also because even in a small space, I still try to create garden rooms. And so this will be kind of a separate garden room, a butler's pantry, if you will, or something that will be separated by some soft, low-growing plants. They will all, none of them will get much above this height in these areas. And so I think it will really be very practical and work really, really well. And stay tuned for what ideas I have for a little fridge and some things out here. And am I absolutely just so impatient to dine out here and have a little dinner party out here and invite all of you? Absolutely. So Stuart, you know, it gives me the vapors. So I'm gonna take a little break here, get a drink of water, and you guys get a drink of water too, and I'll meet you back. Well, something else I am very impatient to do, and that is hang some really beautiful string lights over the outdoor dining room, partly because that is a signature touch of my neighborhood, and because I think it just creates so much romance and so much atmosphere. So I'm anxious to do that, but that will be at the very end. Now, right here, a lot of you have asked what's going on in this space right here. Well, right now we have just filled it with gravel. It's just kind of like a gravel platform. The foundation of these steps comes out about a foot. Where I have placed this elephant bush will be approximately the location of what I envision to be a Japanese maple, which will be kept pruned high and thinned out and will just arch beautifully over this window. Yes, just like that. Stuart was doing the whatever pose that is. That pose. Oh, yes. Well, this was being my tree. I am a tree. I am a Japanese maple. And then right here, I have ordered, Stuart, if you can come around this way, it might make it a little bit easier for people to see. And that is this expanse right here. I have ordered, and I will put a link to it, I have ordered a metal bench that is exactly this width and approximately this high. I will probably have to put it on some pavers. Then what will happen is my log rack, I've demonstrated this before, but I think it's more clear now. This log rack will sit on top of that bench. And then on the bench, underneath the bench, there will be a void, and that's where I envision I will store some pots, some of my terracotta, things like that. And what that does is it helped me recapture a good 15 inches off of the landing pad of the porch itself that was going to be consumed by the firewood. So now I've recaptured that, and it will help enclose this. Again, I like the idea of a garden room. Stuart's laughing at me, but I like the idea of having a little enclosed space right here that won't be so enclosed that I'll feel like air circulation doesn't get there, or that it's too humid, or whatever. I think it'll be fine.
I just love that it's like a, in your mind, because the word capture is it's a battle. You're having to fight the yard for space and recapture areas.
And recapture areas, recapture territory. And by the way, that of course makes me think of Ukraine, and I would be so remiss if I didn't send a big shout out to all of you in Hawaii right now. I am just heartbroken for the loss of your culture and your history and your homes and your sense of security and your sense of place. And so Stuart and I are sending lots of thoughts and prayers and love your way, and also money, because we're doing what we can to help on that score. So that's a little reminder for all of us to do whatever we can. But back to recapturing space. So that's kind of what's going on right here, and I think it will be very, very effective. So Stuart, let's take another break, because this is a pivotal component of the back landscape that I have been waiting on, that is now being executed. Well, Stuart just took a big sigh of relief because he is now in the shade. In fact, show them the shade of the umbrella that the guys have moved over here for some temporary respite from the sun, relief from the sun.
What do I need these bricks for?
Oh, what do you need these bricks for? And they are old bricks, because what I want them to do is face my steps. And I think it is going to look spectacular. It already looks great. So over the past couple of days, I've been selecting a grout color, and I think we found just the right grout color. I think that as the concrete ages and becomes less perfect looking, dirtier, maybe grows a little bit of algae on it, or moss or lichens, I think it will age it and be really beautiful. And then I will, of course, have some plants that cascade up and down the stairway. And then there will be a railing that also runs up and down.
Where's the back up so they can see the railing?
Yeah, so the railing, well, it still remains to be seen, but the railing will be about right here. Now, these are pretty grand steps, so I want to address two different concerns about that. Yes, these are pretty grand steps for a small space, but I sometimes like something grand and a little bit oversized in a small space, because I think it lends prominence and elegance and sophistication to the entire space by doing it. Also, this is going to be a real showstopper of not only the artistry and the sculpture of the steps themselves, but also the fact that there will be things staged up and down them. So it's very, in addition to being practical, because they had to almost be this grand to get enough width so that we could reduce the height of the risers, because this is pretty easy to get up and down. And with the railing, it will be that much easier. Yes, I know so many of you are concerned about it, as am I for the future. So to get the reduction in height of the risers, we had to come out this far, but I love the way it looks overall. I love the way this area will look different. I love the way it then will also relate to the garage and to other areas over here. This messy area behind Stuart, this is just chaos. This is just chaos reigns supreme. Don't step on those bricks, Stuart. Yeah, be very careful, darling.
There you go.
Okay, so chaos reigns supreme over here, and I'm still thinking about this. So again, I am confident that when this stuff gets finished, it will tell me what to do next. Now, a number of you have also commented, and I get your point, have commented on, I'm going to go down here, Stuart, you stay up here in the sun or in the shade, that a project like this is not inexpensive. And believe me, I know that because I'm the one writing the checks. However, I was happy to, I guess, sell my bigger house to have a smaller template that was exactly the way I wanted it. So some of the proceeds that we had from the bigger house, I can use to create exactly what I want right here. And I think it's definitely a wonderful investment in my neighborhood, in the beautification of this whole area, but also in the quality of life of myself, my family, my friends, and hopefully all of you who have enjoyed the process. So I wanted to address those couple of things. In the past, I could not have done a project of this magnitude all at once. I would have done it for budgetary reasons and for just my energy reservoirs. I would have done it over a period of time. But at my age, time is of the essence, and I am okay with immediate gratification. So I think it is well worth it. Please, in the comments below, let me know what you think. And Stuart, I'm hot. What do you say we go inside and I will give everyone a short but promised glimpse of my new laundry room. And finally, order has been restored to the laundry room, which was my last major project I really wanted to get done inside the cottage. I can't wait to give you a whole front to back tour of everything once it is completed and staged and zhuzhed out. But Stuart, come in here and look at my, albeit tiny, but I think wonderful new laundry room. Yes, yes, we need to put in some music right there. So you may recall that this is the same color of my island in the kitchen. I made sure to match it because, again, I like things to communicate with one another. And I had several pictures that I took to Lowe's. This is not a sponsored post, that I took to Lowe's and had them help me come up with an idea and a schematic and a scaled version of the picture that I gave them for this space. And I think they really did a bang up job. And kudos to Evans Construction and my new friend Dean. He and his guys, talk about craftsmen, they did such a wonderful job. Sean, thank you. And they help really wrestle this into place. We had to make some modifications for a number of different reasons that were forethoughts to potential issues down the line. One of them being, I bought a more compact size, a smaller scale version of this washer and stackable washer and dryer. Why? Because it was during COVID and it was all I could get right away that would fit into the space at the other house. But actually for just the two of us, this is very, very sufficient. It works fine. I like the fact that it's a little bit smaller scale and it fits great in this area. So I am happy about that. But I am also, I think, sensitive to the fact that if these go south and if these bite the dust and I have to replace them, I may have to replace them with a larger version, a larger stackable version, which is why the surrounding space has clearance. So that's why they don't fit snugly and flush inside of here, because I wanted to account for some flexibility in the future and have the ability to switch these out and also to access them, because if they were really tight in here, it would be very difficult to pull them in and out in the event they needed to be serviced. So what else did that do when we put in smaller units into a larger specified space? And that was, it created a void up here. So I talked this over with Dean and I said, oh, let's leave it here. In other words, a lot of the other washer and dryer would have gone up here almost all the way to the top. I said, let's just leave it like this because I like having the open space up there. I suggested that we put this additional piece of butcher block on it to match the butcher block surface over here, my folding area that is just below the rod that we also had built in for things that I might need to hang immediately after taking them out of the dryer. Now, we finished out this space, painted it, put some trim on it. I noticed right here there's an area, an unfinished, unpainted section that we'll have to come back and touch up. But nevertheless, everything is pretty much finished. I still see some dusting I have to do from some sanding residue that's on here. So I wanted this here because I wanted a form-fitting basket that I could slide in and out that I could put on the floor, because I like it off of the floor because this is a small space. And so I want to reduce the number of things on the floor as possible. So by keeping the laundry basket up here, I can pull it out as needed and put my clean clothes from the dryer directly into the laundry basket. And I was able to find one. It has not arrived yet, but I looked different places. I finally got one online that will form fit in here and look as if it was part of the original design in its totality, I think. So I haven't really filled to the extent I want my different spaces yet. I'll be doing that, but yes, see there's a drawer here. And then I wanted a broom closet. So there's a broom closet over here that I can have my mop and my little shark sweeper. And I have another cabinet up here for cleaning supplies and things. And then things that I don't use frequently. Stuff like I have a steam cleaner. I've got a buffer. I've got different small appliances. I can put all of those up here. And it will not be difficult at all to access because this passage goes down to my basement, which you saw yesterday, of where I store my stuff. And at the top of the basement landing, there's a place where I have a stepping stool. So all I have to do is grab the stepping stool and I can easily reach those upper shelves. So it's kind of a form meets function thing. I then had these wicker shelves that I showed you before that are in place, and these haven't exactly been organized to my satisfaction yet, but they will be. This is where I can keep some of my cookbooks. I can keep some things at the ready that I want to easily access. So manuals to my appliances, sewing things, string, floral things that I use when I put together my flower arrangements. These are all right here at the ready, easy for me to pull in and out. In the past, a lot of this stuff was stored in an inaccessible area at my other house. So accessibility was very, very important to me. Stuart, let's take a break here and come back because I've got another question of the day as it relates to this laundry room. Well, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that I am infatuated now with battery-powered lighting. I love these portrait lamps that I got for above my paintings. They periodically have to be recharged. You just got some? Aren't they great? They're really great. And they're all in this brass finish that I'm obsessed with. Over here, you can see that I've got another one of these tiny little battery operated lamps that I love. Now, do we all wish that they lasted a little bit longer? Oh my, yes. But for right now, I don't have any electrical outlets. I don't have any of that in here. So right now, for a little bit of just, oh, I don't know, just gentle illumination, I can just tap this on and off. So I like that. And I don't want to ruin any of this cabinetry by trying to access it. And it was just way too much trouble to have an electrician here at the same time all of this chaos was going on. So enter my question of the day for the laundry room, and also something that I think is very, very important that we probably all might want to make. So I'm wondering, Stuart, if you could step back a little bit. I am wondering if I want some kind of sconce or some kind of little light that comes out and projects out above the doorway. And yes, it would be battery operated because I don't really have any electrical right there that's really handy. And so I'm thinking about that. And yes, it would probably be some kind of brass color. There's some really great sconces you can get. So that's my question of the day for you. Do you think I need/want one? I'm very undecided right now for right there. It would be kind of jewelry for this space, albeit minimalist jewelry or not. And then the other thing that I've wanted for a long time, I am finally going to get after the electrician arrives. So I'm not sure what the previous owners were thinking by not putting an electrical outlet on this wall. But there is not an outlet on this wall, even though on the other side of this wall, there is a mirrored outlet in that bedroom. So fortunately, that will make it easy for me to add one back here. Now, why do I want one back here? Because I have so many battery operated lights and lamps and different things, we all do now, that I want to have a charging station right here. So I'm going to take one of these shelves or two of these shelves, and I am just going to have a charging station here where I have all of my chargers hooked up in one location so that I can easily just do this. I can easily just take this off, take it to my charging station, charge it overnight, and then easily drop it back into place, versus what I'm doing right now, where just wherever I kind of have an outlet, I am charging things. And I think that will make charging much more efficient. I love having a dedicated workspace to that. I will always know where the chargers are to my different kinds of devices, because I will have all of those chargers right here because they all have a different kind of input. But then also right below it, I have a box that says chargers. So all of my miscellaneous chargers for things that I don't charge frequently. I know, I'm a little bit crazy. But I've got my chargers box right here so I can have my charging station. All of it will be here. When we have guests, when people need an iPhone charger, I will have multiples that are all in place for my guests, for my family, whenever they come. And everybody gets a charger. So everybody and everything gets a charger. So I think that's a concept. Having a dedicated charging station, that's a concept that is well overdue for us all to have in our homes. And I can't wait to get that outlet to make mine. So Stuart, what do you think? Oh, by the way, I've ordered a new rug for in here that has not yet. Don't show me in my fuzzy slippers, Stuart. Don't show me in my fuzzy slippers. Okay, you can show me in my fuzzy slippers. These are great, you guys. And I know you're going to ask me for the link. So yes, I will put a link to my fuzzy slippers in the stick in the. Well, they're kind of like Birkenstock fuzzy slippers, but they're just knockoffs. But let me tell you, this is my second pair, and they're wonderful. I'm already thinking about Christmas gift ideas, so these would be great. So new rug is coming, form fit to meet the dimensions of this space, as is my basket overhead. And then I will be waiting to hear from you guys on whether or not I want a brass sconce to hang over my basement door. Stuart, is there anything I have forgotten? Thank you guys for hanging out with me for this update on your garden life. Now enjoy the rest of your Sunday.